Choosing the right colors for your design is very important. Luckily, Adobe Illustrator offers plenty of features to find the right colors and apply them to your designs. I already mentioned in the previous videos that you can access swatches and also colors from the options bar, but of course these both have their own panels. So you can find the color panel here with its options from the panel menu, and you can also find swatches in the swatches panel. Again, it has its own options here. In this video, I'm going to explain in more detail how to work with color swatches, and we will also have a look at color themes and the Adobe Color website. So first of all, what's the main use of a swatch? Well, technically, it's a way you can save a color that you can then use later in elements in your designs. So let's just say in this design, we want to use the same color for the umbrella as what we use on the sunglasses. The easiest way to make sure that we do that is by using the direct selection tool and selecting the actual object, which already has that color that we want to use. Now, if I go to the swatches panel and I click on the new swatch icon, it will automatically save that currently selected color. I can decide whether I want this to be a CMYK color or RGB, and I can also decide what name I wish to use for it. I can use the values here in the name, or I can type in something like key color. When you save a color swatch, there's also two very important options that you need to decide. Whether this is going to be a global color, and also whether you want to add this to a library or not. Now, for this first color, I'm going to turn off the library option, and I will also not have the global option selected. Let's see what happens if we save it like this. So I'm going to click OK, and we will see that the color swatch appeared here in the swatches panel. To separate it more from the default swatches, we can also click now on this new color group option, which will put the currently selected swatch into a separate group. And instead of selected artwork, I'm going to choose selected swatches. Then I will click OK. And you can see now it moved that swatch into this new group here at the bottom. If I want to apply this color to this first letter, for example, I can very easily do that by just selecting that letter and then applying the swatch from the swatches panel. Let's try to save another swatch now, but by using a slightly different method. So I'm going to select one of these colors here, this bright green, almost mint color, and I will click on the new color option. Once again, I can decide how I want to save it. Let's just save it as CMYK, and then I will also decide to have this set up as a global color. When I click OK, I can then move this into that color group that we created, and already you can see the difference that a normal color looks like this, while a global color swatch has that little white triangle on the bottom right corner. So let's see what that means. If I now select another part of the text, like this T here at the bottom, and then apply that color on it, I can then also select these palm trees here and apply the same color on it. Now, if I make any changes to this color swatch, it will apply on every element where it was used in the design. That's why it's called global color. So let's see what's the difference. If I double click on this color swatch, I can get to make changes to it, and having the preview option on, I will be able to see it already in the design in the background. So when I make a change, you will see how it immediately updates on both instances, even though I don't have them selected. That is once again because it's a global color swatch. I won't make this change, I will keep it as is, but I'm going to double click now on the other color swatch, have the preview turned on, and let's see if anything happens to the colors in the design. You can see I can make changes to the swatch without affecting the actual design in the background. Both of these options are useful. Now, last but not least, what's the Add to My Library option? Let's say I want to save that color from the original title as a swatch, but on top of that, I also want to save it into my libraries. So I'm going to click on new color swatch, just like before. I could decide that this is a global swatch as well, and I can also make sure this is also CMYK. But then I can also turn on the add to my library option, and I can also decide which library I wish to save this into. Let's just stick to the vector element. So I'm going to click on that, and then I will click OK. So now it's not only saved in my swatches, just to show you it's there, and I can also again put it into this group, but it's also saved in this library, which is a great feature once again, because this library can even be shared easily with other Creative Cloud users. So if I do collaborations, that's a quick and easy way to share the swatches that I used in a design. Remember, the libraries panel is the one that we used in the very beginning of the course, where we imported some assets from the Creative Cloud market. You can use the libraries panel to apply colors, as you can see, but of course you can also go to your swatches and apply a color from there very quickly and easily. Now, what if you want to quickly save all the swatches used in a design and put them into the swatches panel? Well, what you can do is to press Command A or Control A to select everything in your design. Make sure that nothing is locked that you want to include in the swatches. And then when you click on the new color group here, you will be able to choose selected artwork, and you can even turn all of the color swatches into global colors, and then click OK. With that, you will get a new set of colors, and these are all the colors used in this design. So we can try to amend one of these colors. I clicked outside, so I deselected everything, and then I double click on this color here. Let's turn on preview and see what happens when we change it. We can see it clearly which are the colors that I'm currently changing. So once again, this was a way to quickly import all the colors from the artwork into my swatches panel. The same way I can also, of course, remove swatches that I don't need anymore. So if I click on this color here and shift click on the top color there, I can then click on the trash can and delete these swatches. If you want to reuse colors from a document later on in another project, in another project, you can also export your swatches, and it will create a swatch file. So you can do that from the panel menu and choosing Save Swatch Library as ASE or AI. The advantage of the ASE, which is the Adobe Swatch Exchange format, is that it can also be used in Photoshop and InDesign. So if I choose that one, I just need to decide where I want to save it. And I'm going to save it into the same folder that I have all the other elements. As you can see, the file format is ASE. So once I click on that, there's just a warning here that if there's any gradient or pattern swatches or even tints, they are not going to be visible in other applications on in Illustrator. So Photoshop and InDesign won't be able to read those special swatches, but these swatches should be all fine. So I can click OK, and that means now these are all saved. It's worth mentioning that there are many color libraries which you can access from this icon here at the bottom, and you can easily find color books as well, which are the Pantone colors or spot colors most commonly used in design. So if I choose, for example, Pantone CMYK Coated or Solid Coated, I will get a separate panel with all these swatches inside. Now these have all names or codes, so you can also search for them. Let's say if I type in 785, I will get this nice color, and as soon as I select it, it will be added to my swatches panel. Now we can select something in the design like this letter and apply that color to it. When I double click on this color, it will tell me that this is the Pantone 1785C color, and it's automatically set to a spot color. And in this case, the color mode is set to book color. The difference between a process color and a spot color is that while the process colors are created from the CMYK inks, a mixture of them. The spot color is a pre-mixed ink, which has to be purchased to be able to print it. So let me show the difference. When I switch back and double click on a process color, we will always see the colors that is needed to make that color. Because I'm currently in RGB mode, it shows the RGB values, but we can also see them in CMYK colors. Spot colors are used mainly for logos and branding, but they are also very important on packaging designs where you have to maintain a consistent color for certain elements. And last but not least, let me show you what color themes can do. It's a separate panel where you will see your saved color themes. Now for this, again, you have to have an Adobe ID, and then you will be able to use this website called Adobe Color CC, where you can also log in with your same Adobe ID that you use for Creative Cloud subscription. And here you can quickly create color harmonies just by randomly moving these points around, or you can go into explore mode and find color harmonies that you might want to work with. Let's say I really like this one here, so I'm going to choose save. I will choose which library I want to save it into. We can save it into vector elements, and we can call it something else, but for now I'm just going to keep it as is. And once I click on save, we can also check it here in the website, so we can see it exactly how this looks. But once I go back to Illustrator, within the libraries, I will see that color theme showing up straight away. From the libraries, you can just right click and choose Add to Swatches, which will appear in Swatches again as a separate group. And here's a brilliant feature which I'm going to talk more about later on. It's called Recolor Artwork, but I just want to show it to you because it really works nicely together with color groups from your Swatches panel. So what you can do is to select the whole artwork, which is Command or Control A, and then here in the options bar, click on the Recolor Artwork option. So I will click on that. Then it shows me all the colors that currently is used in this artwork. But then here on the right, we can also see our color groups, and there's the color theme we just saved from Adobe Color website. And if I click on this, then all the colors in the design will be updated, and it will use only these few colors that we have in that theme. Illustrator will try to replicate the design as close as possible to the original look, but at the same time completely recoloring it. So let's see this before and after. I'm just going to close everything and go back one step. Will show us the original, and then go to after, where we apply that color theme. As I mentioned, this Recolor Artwork is a very useful feature, but we will talk a lot more about it because it's a very robust and complex technique, and I don't want to be carried away. So all we wanted to go through here was the swatches and how to work with them. But you might remember that I mentioned that there can be gradient swatches as well. So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in the next video, how to create gradients and save them as swatches.